our energy came from, I was eating my pasta with whole eggs and stuff. That was my energy drink.
What age do you feel you were at peak? I mean, we were always constantly learning and trying new things. So that's a no-brainer. Because it took me 8 fucking years to get to 290 from 250. And the reason it took me that long is because I did not understand how to eat correctly. And I didn't understand that I needed higher quality foods more often. I'm starting this cut now at 13.4% body fat at 264 pounds.
I love that you said that, because I'm one and I have a pre-workout non-stim, and I said, and I think somebody did a study on it. It goes, hey, it's not enough stim. It's a piece. And it's funny because it's just a kid that goes, I want to get cracked out of my head to go train. Where if you just listen to me talk and say, hey, if you're on the couch and you're tired, sure, I want to give you a little something to get up and going.
Yeah.
But I never want to override you. That's not the point of it. You're already tired. I don't need to override you and have you go into the gym and think that you're stronger than you are, or more tanked up than you are. And you go in there ballistic and going, I'm going to just go crazy.
Right.
Now I just did you damage. And it's hard to explain that to the youth of today that grew up on all these drinks and stuff like that just has 400 grams of.
You know as well as I do, how on earth, if your mentality is to be looted to the gills to come into the gym, how is your mentality on technical ability?
Non-existent.
All these people that do this shit, their form is terrible. And that's another reason why they're not around very long, right? It all comes back down to technical mastery, patience, and understanding that if you don't have energy in the gym, no amount of pre-workout is going to fix all the damage you're doing on all the other stupid shit. You and I both know we use supplements to supplement our already perfect lifestyle, or as perfect as we can make it.
Beautiful.
That's why fucking
I need to say one thing, because I think it's unfair for me to talk about some stuff because I had such a great upbringing in the sense of health and fitness.
Sure.
And also, there was a portion of time, it's like Photoshop wasn't around for all my magazines for the first 10 years. So Photoshop doesn't make sense to me. I am who I am. And I love that in person, people are like, oh, sheesh, you're bigger than I thought. But my first early years, we didn't have pre's. I grew up, guys, I started lifting in the late 70s and competing in powerlifting in the 80s.
Yeah.
So we didn't have all this and that and all this cool, fun stuff to go get going and stuff. And so our energy came from, I was eating my pasta with whole eggs and stuff. That was my energy drink. And it was this, but it's tough to talk to these kids, and I fully understand that they grew up on this. So how do you wean, instead of giving me another recovery, how can they self-correct at this stage, knowing that everybody in the world is saying this is how you should do it?
Well, I think the big thing you have to do is you have to set yourself an ideal. Okay. And what I mean by that is there are 3 things that I hold in high value as someone I'm going to listen to on my training or my diet or my supplementation. 1, what level of performance did they get to? And 2, how long did they stay there? And 3, what is their educational background? Right there with those 3 things, you just knock the shit out of 95% of people stupid shit all over the internet. If you do those 3 things, it takes away almost 95% of all the bullshit.
Yeah, and it really does. I mean, you honestly,
Stan Efferdings, Matt Winnings, you're going to run into all these guys because guess what? All of us have been doing this for over 30 years. We've all went and gotten degrees, and we've all stayed at a high level for a very long time. That is the 3 major key points of staying away from idiots on the internet.
You know what? I think that's the wrong road to go down for you and me, because of the fact is we can't make this argument, and I can't help the kids enough until they realize it, because they're going to say, well, this is who we listen to. They got all the followers in the world. The point you made is, did they do well?
With the advent of Instagram and all these other platforms, most people that have these immense followers that we see and go, how is this possible? They bought the shit. They didn't. That's not real.
I don't know that. I don't know that. I do know that there's more famous people than me. that are giving advice, and I keep seeing it, and I'm just like, I can't. And people tag me in it and they go, "Hey, Mike, will you tell this guy what it really is?" And I said, "I can't. He read that somewhere and he believes it." And that's what the world is as we are right now. So for you people out there, again, it's
But
you
I
guys,
think
common sense.
advice, it's three things. They have to be around at least 20 years. They have to have a high education. They have to have stayed at that level for an extended period of time, because you and I both know. Now, I got a question for you that falls along the same level. What age do you feel you were at peak? I mean, we were always constantly learning and trying new things, so that's a no-brainer. But when do you feel you hit the Yoda stage? For me, it was about 38.
I think I am coming into it in the sense of uh, understanding what and this fine detail. Like when you think of Yoda, I think of he could bring things, he could move things and objects. And I'm at that stage to where if I'm training my back, I can move it from the outer lat on the same exercise to only the middle of the lat and back up. I'm so connected with this stuff and really fully understand in the this last decade that I was taught to either build muscle or get strong. Okay. Wow. But nobody taught me to work from the inside out, from the bone connections and the connective tissue, that
Yeah.
if you make that your Terminator solid bone just so strong,
Mhm.
that the muscle can keep coming.
Yeah. But that's
And that's what the world didn't. No. You bench press to build a bigger chest. No, you technically don't. Not for me, not
no.
for my Titans. You're actually doing bench to put pressure on you so you can keep your healthy joints, strong shoulders, rotation, range of motion, so you can do it for a longer time. Muscle's freaking secondary.
Muscles are slaves. Muscles are slaves. The neurological system and the skeletal system are the key components to making sure that the muscle can grow. Without the spark plug and without the frame, you have no engine.
Man, we got to get a microphone. I got to keep dropping this thing for you. Yeah. Boom, boom. All right. I'm going to move on to my last question for the day.
Sure.
You hit a peak level at a very young age. So we both, I was in the magazines by 17. So we both did really well at a very young age, and then we stayed there. But what are some mistakes that you wish you told your young self, that you look back now at 40 and you go, you know what, I could have done this, this, and this.
Yeah.
Or I shouldn't have done it this way. Talk to me.
I was a full-blown fucking idiot with my diet. I was a hard gainer. So I made it to 250, and people are like, well, he was 250 in high school. I was a hard gainer because it took me 8 fucking years to get to 290 from 250. And the reason it took me that long is because I did not understand how to eat correctly. And I didn't understand that I needed higher quality foods more often. And so what I did was I masked that with eating shittier quality foods at a higher rate. And what it did was, it put weight on me, but it also increased my inflammation and started fucking up my hormones. So what I had to do was, once I learned to eat clean by the time I was 29, 30, and you saw the change. When you first met me, I was a big, thick, bloated guy. I had a good build for a powerlifter, but I still had a lot of just water on me. And then you saw me the last time I came in 2019, I looked completely different. Yeah. With the same amount of muscle. And that was all difference in diet change. That had nothing to do with how I trained. And I wish I would have learned that in my early 20s, because I think not only could I have been peeled faster, but I think my body wouldn't have fought me so long to get so strong, because it was fighting, not only trying to push massive weights, I was fighting my own digestive system.
So you talked about two things on this discussion. You talked about maybe back off the caffeine drinks and all that, Revo, work with somebody, and that's the reverse plan, which we're doing. All the Titans right now are doing the reverse plan. And then you just talk about this right here. You're talking about what mistakes could you have done? And it's nutrition. And I love that fact, because we got all these people ready and sliced down. And now we're reversing out of that nutrition. And most people, like you said, most people will just go, oh, okay, I'm done with my contest in a sense, hypothetically. I can eat whatever, I'm done with it. No, we got to back away slowly and reverse out of that plan. And again, that's everybody's doing that because I want them to enjoy Christmas and New Year's and be fired up and have enough food in their system. Maybe the receptors are cleaner now because they got off the caffeine. All these things. So when they do start January 1st, boom.
I do nothing but 100% agree.
And then with the training, the same way you talked earlier, the Bulgarian, the Russian, we're back in the training down.
The longer that you eat cleaner, what you start to realize is your gut biome and bacteria start to change. And what you didn't pay attention, well, you did pay attention, but you didn't pay attention to the last time I was at your house and your kid was super small, little Titan was super small. The one big thing that I took away from that day was I was watching what you were doing in the kitchen. You know, and so I'm starting my cut right now. I'm starting to lean out again. I didn't get out of control. I stayed, obviously, as you do the videos, you can see I've stayed pretty lean. But I'm starting this cut now at 13.4% body fat at 264 pounds.
Ooh-wee.
Time you saw me, I was dieting for 25 weeks to get to percent because I was doing it slow and easy, like we talk about time and get changed. But now to me it's second nature to eat like that because I've been doing it for 3 years.
So two things that Jeffrey just pointed out was, and I want everybody here to listen to this and everybody that's going to watch this around the world. He said he watched what I did in the kitchen. Didn't ask. He just watched my habits while he was staying with me and training with me and saw what I did. And so I hope you guys listen to that because that's how I learned as a kid. Watching tells you everything.
Mm-hmm.
It really does. And if you ask a question without going through a process or understanding it, which, and listen, I understand that most people don't have a lot of common sense anymore. You do, but you can see it, you can dissect it and go, this is why he's doing what he's doing. I see this now. I understand it. And he actually lives by these steps.
Yeah.
And so I just want the people, man, you guys, I pound this on you and I keep telling you, stop asking questions. Do the program. Listen to what we're telling you.
Yeah.
We're not hiding nothing from you. This is it. This is the little things.
Yeah.
And then try it. Then you'll learn it. Because again, you tell somebody, they'll forget. You have them do it, they'll remember for a lifetime.
Oh, absolutely. I 100% agree. And I think the difference between you and I and a lot of other people is we look at the subtleties. I show people how to squat every freaking week on Instagram. And all I get is, well, what about this? And what about that? Why don't you watch and practice for 6 months? You know, the first thing I learned from Chuck, I don't know, you have met Chuck Vogelpool maybe once or twice, but he's the one that taught me how to squat perfectly and what I will consider perfectly. Now, you can squat any other way you want, but I think that the way that you and you squat the same way I do, right? You learn to do that. Going back to a knee over toe squat is simplistic, but you have to learn to load the posterior chain. You know how I learned to do that? Chuck never let you ask him a question. If you came up to him with a question, he would tell you to get out because he wanted you to learn by watching. And so what I did was I would calculate how to learn how to squat like this at 19 years old, watching Chuck squat 1,000 pounds at 220. And I learned how he leveraged that and made every muscle group do everything in synchronicity. And I did not learn that by asking a question. I learned it by watching him and absorbing what he was teaching me by showing me the movement, but not coaching me. And it frustrates me to all get out because this is why I have a Patreon channel. And if you want to ask me a question, you get on there behind a paywall and ask me because I'm already showing you how to do it. And if I have to ask the question, if you have to ask the question, that means you're not paying attention.
So picture this. I know a lot of you will not understand this visually, but he will. I'm 13. I got Doug Furness squatting. I got Doyle Kennedy there doing some deadlifts. I got Jeff Magruder there squatting with Doug Furness. And I'm sitting there, and then Ed comes in periodically.
Sure.
So this is my gym. And it was a powerlifting gym, Jeff Magruder's gym. And we'd go in the back Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday was an easy day. It was a push-pull. And they would shut the door, all the racks, It was ours. Nobody come in. It was just
Yeah.
the powerlifting group. And all I did is I sat there and lifted with them. And I was the only kid, 13. Everybody else was much older. And I'd watch. And that's how I learned to squat, deadlift, and bench.
Yeah.
From the greatest in the world at that time.
Oh, but not even close. And here's the problem. You're saying names that 3/4 of the people on here have no idea who you're talking about.
No idea.
These guys were the legends of the mid to late 70s and early 80s, upper echelon in the world. And you were fortunate enough to be there. But the reason they let you there is because you were a good student. And the reason I was at Westside Barbell learning from Chuck Vogelpool and George Halbert and Kenny Patterson was because I was a good student. And if I wasn't a good student, they weren't going to let me sit in there and they weren't going to let me train with them. But we also both had the genetics to where they saw potential in us to do something, whether that would be world record powerlifting or bodybuilding or anything. But the point is, we were good students at first and foremost.
Yeah, I love that he taught that way and that you understand that because, and again, we're not trying to be asses to you guys by saying don't ask us questions. The reason why I say don't ask questions is because we already know asking a question gets you nothing.
Yep.
You watching and then performing does everything.
Yeah.
And he just spoke about, if I told him my diet, he wouldn't have remembered anything or how I do things. But he watched in the kitchen and he still remembers to this day very easily too. That's imprinted in his mind on what the things I did.
Yeah.
So
the big thing, like I said, what I learned was I watched you cook with no cooking oils. I watched the cleanliness of what you were eating and the timing in which you eat it. Because I just saw you eat a meal 2 hours prior and you were eating again. And I'm like, shit, my timing is way off. I got my meal spread too far out. I'm not anabolic. I'm not getting enough protein in. Like all these factors, I started just calculating, okay, he's eating every 2 hours. He's eating this quality of protein. He's not cooking with any oils. And everything is systematic. He's not planning to fail because he's planning his whole day out.
I love it, man. I know you have questions for me. We ran about an hour today. Can we do this again?
Oh yeah, we'll
do it again.
Your questions to me the next time we do it. It's my questions to you.
I love it, man. You gave them gold today. And again, I know that you Titans out there, you love to see the training. I understand that. This discussion is more important than any workout that I'm going to show you.
Mm-hmm.
The discussion of what he's talking about listening and then performing. You covered so much.
LA soon. You let me know when you got some free time. I'm starting to loosen up a little bit with the business. So I can come out for a week or so if you can figure out a place for me to crash or whatever. And yeah, and I'll come out and we're gonna hammer it. We're gonna do tons of videos and we're gonna put a lot of it on Michael Hearn's channel. And I want everybody to have access to this information because what I feel is there's only, I would say, and like I said, I'm sure there's others, but I would say right now that there's only about 10 people in the country that I would have any kind of conversation like this and feel like it's giving back to the community so much that it needs to be out there. It needs to be there. And it's just, there's just so much bullshit going on in the fitness industry. And there's just, when you and I talk and you and Stan talk, and you and I and Stan talk and people like that, it's a breath of fresh air that needs to be there. I mean,
thank you, brother, man. Thank you so much for doing this. If anybody, you guys, let me put this back up there for a second as we close this out. I got it right here. Boom. That's how you get a hold of him. You can find him on every social media. Again, I highly recommend following him and talking to him. And also, you guys see me put up belt squats every week with Bryce.
Yeah.
And so watch the different forms I do with that as well for you guys that maybe have a bad back and don't want to do that anymore.
Sure. I mean, that was the original reason I developed the machine was so if my shoulders were feeling wonky, I could still squat, you know. But now I've seen so much uses for it in so many different ways. And a lot of it I've learned from you as well.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for doing this today.
Take it easy, brother.
I want to see the house next time. Okay.
No, we'll get you all set up. I got a whole upstairs that never gets used, and it's got your name on it.
I love it. I love it, man. Talk soon, brother.
All right, brother. See you later.
Bye, buddy. Wow. Just an incredible man, a bright man. Again, there's not a lot of people I'll sit down and debate with about health and fitness. He adds so much to lifting and what he does. So you guys rock and roll. Go on over there, follow him, everything he's doing. Again, reach out to him, talk to him through his way of discussions. But again, somebody I respect. All right, guys,